Okay, so I was trying to download one of the programs that I use onto my iPad because I thought that would have been like easier for you guys to all see. But I guess I forgot like the password to that program or some shit or another, and well, we're gonna have to just do it on the good old iPhone. All right, so how basically this is just gonna be how do I make my um how do I make my thumbnails? All right, I use a couple of different programs. Majority of the time, I am on my mobile device when I make my thumbnails. I don't really log into my computer for anything besides work, usually. So, what do I use? I use a couple of programs. I have a lot, as you guys can see. I have quite a few things that I use. The two main programs that I'm going to show you guys today, I'm going to avoid my Adobe programs for right now. I'll do that on a different one. But this is like even going to be new to even like Fluff because he has tried effortlessly to make thumbnails and I'll giggle with him. What is it, puppy? What do you want? As you can see, I'm busy. What? Anyway, so I use two different programs. Yeah, my kids will pop into the chat and do that mommy thing. They do it over text too, and it annoys the shit out of me. Like, just say hi if that's what you're doing. All right, I'm already obviously frustrated enough with what's going on behind me. So, um, I use two different programs. Back to what I was saying. I use two different programs, typically 9 times out of 10. Um, if there's something really complex, I'll go into like my Adobe suite and I will use that. That is extremely pricey for a lot of people. And I do get it because I'm a student and I keep my student email active just so I can get my Adobe suite cheaper every. If you guys aren't familiar, every Black Friday they run a special, and if you pay monthly for it, it's like it used to be cheap. It used to be like $15. Now it's gone up to like 30. So I do use that for, I mean, you get full access to complete Adobe programs. So I love that for things that involve sound and stuff like that. But do I have time to sit and like upload things to my computer and all that? I really don't. I'm always on the go. So I use Canva and I use PixArt when I need to make a quick thumbnail. And so we're going to just build one out of nowhere, right? The first thing I'm going to show you is on Canva how you can make one of the pre-done thumbnails. And as you can see, the thumbnail that I used for this stream is right here. And it was majority wise a pre-done thumbnail. You can come into the programs and you can see they have like it's pre-done. It used to not be this nice. You used to have to go and search for things or program your parameters in, but it's simple now. You click YouTube thumbnail and it already has the dimensions needed, and it'll give you a couple of like pre-done things based off of like, you know, what you've recently searched or anything like that. So as you can see, there's the base of the thumbnail that I had just done, or I had just showed you guys. I didn't like it, right? I didn't like having that dude there, so I got rid of him. I changed the wording, moved things up, and I added a few other embellishments and added what I wanted on there. And that was kind of cool, right? I mean, it took me all of 2 minutes, and I had a thumbnail ready for the stream that I was going to do. So if I was to recreate my thumbnail, okay, most attractive thumbnail, that's not what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to build a thumbnail with me. Um, I forget what the heck I even titled this or what was on the thumbnail, but we're going to just say, um, I'm going to change this to thumbnail. Bam. And build a done. And I'm going to change this to with me. Bam. Done. All right. So the hand thing that you saw. Okay. So when you open up Canva, you're going to have templates, which are these pre-done things that you can utilize, or you can change the wording on or whatever. Then you have things called elements. And those are all the little embellishment things. Like you see the graphic arrows, and you'll see photos, you'll see videos. You want to kind of work with like shapes, graphics, stickers, and photos. And if you have the pro version of this, it obviously unlocks way more, but there is the phone that you saw that I was going to use. Ironically, I'm on my phone. So I go ahead and plug that in right there. And then I had my personal emblem right there. So I would go into my camera roll, which I'm going to hide because I was making graphics for friends earlier and we were joking with each other, and I don't want you guys to see all that. So I have in my designs, like Fluffies and my two other ones that I use quite frequently. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to say add to page, and it's going to pop up right there. And then I'm just going to kind of reduce it down till it fits the way I want it to fit. And the reason why, you know, you kind of add in your own little like emblems and things like that is because of social branding. Psychologically has been proven to keep people returning to your stuff. Just like when you see a brand at a store, you're like, I know that brand, I want to go and buy that brand or whatever. Having your social branding emulate you helps people come back to your channel. It's been proven. It's actually been socially tested. So what you just saw me do is I went into adjustments and I brightened things up a little bit so it would stand out a little bit more. And I adjusted the contrast so it just didn't look like I turned on a big light in front of it. But there's all kinds of things you can do, like with the vignette and blurring, and X process changes the coloring and stuff like that. But essentially we've created my thumbnail. But I also had a few other embellishments on the side. Let's go back to elements. I can literally type in the word YouTube and stuff's going to come up. YouTube logos, things like that. And all I did was find one that I kind of liked. Click right there and see how it comes up black. You can change the color of it. So these are the colors that it's suggesting. These are the colors that are used within the photo if you want to, because it's a smart program, so it picks up all the digital coloring and actually pre-programs it right there. So based off of the actual background, it's going to give you those colors. Based off that hand graphic, it gave me those colors. And based off my personal graphic, it's suggesting these colors that it's picked up in its smart imaging. But I want to make it white because that's going to stand out. So then after that, it just becomes a system of how do I want it to look? What do I want to put on there? And so to me, because I'm doing this for YouTube, I wanted YouTube to be present in that as well. But I'm also using the program Canva. So I wanted to find a graphic that worked for that. And there is their, that's their graphic, you know, it's just basically says Canva. And then I just kind of placed it right there. And then I'm also going to be using PixArt in this video, not PoxArt, but PixArt. I'm going to pop that in right there, and I'm going to come up with the PixArt logo. And as you can see, it's black. I want to change that to white, and I'm going to reduce the size to get it to fit. I know this isn't exactly how my original thumbnail looked, but you get the point. And bam, that's how I make them. Now there are some other thumbnails that you guys have seen that you're like, they're way more complex and they looked better and everything. And we're going to make some of those too. But and I moved everything up, and everything on this thumbnail, when you click on it, is in separate layers. So I had to move everything up individually when I did it. But all in all, that's how I build, you know, a quick and easy thumbnail. And it's attractive. It gets your attention. It's getting the point across. And the psychology of thumbnails is less is more. The reason why less is more is because when you see a thumbnail, when you're scrolling, they're tiny. I'm actually going to zoom in on this if I can. Okay, then don't zoom in. Oh, there we go. It is very, trying to have that not reflect off of everything. Oh well, you guys just deal with it. Anyway, so the thing is, when you're scrolling, these thumbnails are tiny. You can't really see all this little fine detailing. Um, of like a little ghost here and all this. You can't really see it, okay? What you want to stand out is it's kind of looking at it like a book cover, okay? You want it to represent things, or almost a theater poster, but not quite that detailed because those are quite big, but like a book cover, you know? So if you're walking by a row of books on a bookshelf and you see an interesting cover, you're going to be drawn to it, right? But when you first glance at it, the thing is pretty small. So the thumbnails is the same philosophy. You know, keep them where they are visible. And I knew Nubs would be here. He doesn't show up to shit for my other streams, but he would be at this one. He's like, I'm going to learn some thumbnails. But that is the major psychology behind the thumbnails. So if you're going to have all kinds of wording and stuff like that, nobody can see it. Nobody can see it. It ends up getting washed out. It's over cluttered. It's over congested. And I know it looked really cool when you built it, but when you uploaded it, it ended up looking like a big old mess. All right. I know I'm guilty of it too, because I'm like, you get addicted. You start adding in all this really cool stuff. And I'm never home. I know. I'm just teasing you guys. Don't worry. You know, I don't care if somebody shows up. As long as you watch it later on and get what you need out of it, I'm good. But that's the psychology behind. And this one is free. You can get Canva for free. I do have the pro versions of the stuff that I use because people pay me to do thumbnails. So they pay for my programs. So that is using a pre-done layout. And you can look up any different kind of layout. So if we start from scratch, and let's say I'm going to make a thumbnail for Nubs. I want to make a thumbnail for Nubs. He does a lot of paranormal. Yeah, this is a lot. It's a lot faster, you guys. I'm going to show you how to make quick, really good thumbnails, okay? So we're going to type in horror. That's one of the keywords that I use a lot, okay? I type in horror. There's a lot of pre-done horror. They used to not be so many, but there's a lot of pre-done horror themed ones that you can use. And I apologize, my phone is a little bit slow. It has like over 5,000 images on it right now. So because I do a lot of thumbnails and I do a lot of stuff. So you can, if you're not really like, let's say you're not really like, I'm not really creative, Jen. I don't know how to like composition really well and all that. That's fine. They've got it for you. And you know what? Yeah, a lot of people do the same thing. A lot of people use Canva. I first became introduced to Canva a few years ago when the pandemic hit. And this is how I would make my thumbnails. Was my friend, who I also worked in a tarot metaphysics shop with, introduced it to me so I could make promotional graphics for my classes I was teaching. And if you guys want to see some like old school Jen stuff of like when I first started doing this, oh my gosh. How do I get to that shit? How do I get to my old stuff? See, I still, this stuff still confuses me sometimes. Recent designs. I think that's what it is. Okay. Old. Like that's, look how old. This is when I used to teach tarot classes when I lived in Phoenix. That was a graphic I created on here. I had it printed and I used it to hand out to teach my candle working classes. Yes, I used to teach how to dress and use a candle for blessings. But I also taught tarot classes. Like this one was my Tarot 101 class. It was my Intro to Basics class. I created that graphic myself. A lot of people was like, you use this picture a lot. Believe it or not, I took this picture sitting down at my tarot station before a reading because I needed a picture for these graphics and I didn't really know much on editing or anything like that. But I also made a Justice for Raiden graphic that his mom used for her Facebook and stuff like that when there was issues going on with his court keys. Some of my first thumbnails for YouTube, and this was all way back when. way back when. Way back when. Like going on 3 years ago. So that's when I first got introduced to Canva. And then my friend was like, you got to get the paid version because it's so much better and blah, blah, blah. But I forget what Canva costs per month, to be honest with you. I think it's like $12 or $15. But in the interim, it's kind of worth it. To me, this program isn't foolproof. It's good enough. It will get you by. But I couldn't live with this program alone. I couldn't. Now, I don't use it for its true potential because there's a lot you can do. You can schedule posts through here to go onto your social media. You can schedule all kinds of stuff. You can create intros, outros, all kinds of things. It's a really handy tool. So if you're first learning anything, I suggest Canva to everybody because it is a pretty helpful tool. It removes backgrounds. It does all kinds of stuff. So a lot of people will say, okay, Jen, I have this really cool picture of me. How do I get rid of the background? How do I, hang on, let me find something. Okay. Adventures with Nubs. Okay, so he's got one of his nature walks. He does like a Sunday vlog sometimes. So we're going to go with Nubs Sunday. Well, actually, we're just going to say Nubs, and then we're going to come down here to this second layer or the second line and put his Sunday vlog, because he usually does it as a Sunday vlog. Now, when stuff seems like it's a little off center, you see that little crossbar. It will help you line it up, and you'll see that it gives you two distinguishing lines that'll tell you where the center of things are. You can also click on this little bar down here and it'll help you. It's very user friendly. It helps you centerize things. Now, if you want to increase your font size at all, you can do that. Usually I just go like this and increase it, but you can also come down to where it says fonts. You can change your font size. You can change it all right there. Super duper easy program to utilize. If you want to make your fonts pop out a little bit more, you come down to effects. You can add shadows. Click that twice. You can pick your colors. And maybe you don't like that. Maybe you want it to just have a little lift. Maybe you want it to have that hollow effect. Splice is a cool one. You can also pick your back color for splice. So let's say yellow. Which doesn't look that great, but we'll go with it. You get what I mean. Echo just gives it that little see how it's giving you like the 3 layers. Glitch is one that a lot of people like to use. You can sort of somewhat pick your glitch coloring. You can pick the direction it goes in. You can pick how much of an offset you want. Not my favorite effect. A lot of people, including myself, will use the neon effect. And what I suggest is coming into here and directing your intensity, seeing how much intensity you want. White tends to look good over dark areas, but I wouldn't use white for a light area. But you can come down here and you can, what I would suggest if you want to use a high intensity is picking a darker color, and it kind of gives you that intensity without it bleeding out and making it look kind of fuzzy and all that. And you'll see me use that sometimes. Drop the intensity. Play around with things. That's the best thing I suggest, is to play around with stuff. Get it to where you want it to be. Now, camera roll. I have it in uploads. Okay. Let's go to, I know I got a picture of Nubs somewhere. Here we go. But as you can see, there's a background to that. Go to Effects. Click Background Remover. You guys can't even see what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not clueless. Go to Effects. Hold on. Go to Effects. Click Background Remover. It takes a minute on this program to detect the background. But it will remove your background. And you can enlarge the image. And what I do suggest is pay attention to things like shoulders. things that make it blend seamlessly into your image. So like you wouldn't have that picture quite up there, right? Because when I off click that and unhighlight it, it just seems like he's randomly floating right there, right? If you have a picture where it kind of cuts off right here, then you're going to want to shove that picture over to a corner to where it gives the illusion that that person is not just floating or he's missing an arm or anything like that. Everything kind of blends. Now you're like, oh, I really want this part right here, but the nubs things is on top of it. Ha, fret not. Click the nubs thing, come over to where it says position. This is where you're going to determine where your layering is going to be. You can choose to put this behind, and you see that it goes behind his hand. Forward puts it in front, backwards puts it behind. A lot of people don't know those tricks, but you can choose, and it'll say like, if you have more than one graphic, it'll say all to the back or behind. You can put it behind each one individually and create a layering effect. Things like that. So then you have Sunday vlog right here, and that's kind of faded into his hand a little bit, right? Just because of the colorization. Everything wants to click all of a sudden. All right, so then we're going to want to change the coloring of that. We're going to want that to stand out just a little bit more, but anything that we put it on probably won't stand out too well. And why is that? Because it's small and it's kind of hiding. It's kind of getting hidden, so you can kind of move that over. But a thing that I would use for something to keep it from bleeding in is going back and doing that neon effect, giving it a higher intensity, and then all of a sudden, see, bam, it pulls out just a little bit more. But if I was to make this into a thumbnail, that small font right there is not going to show up at all. It's not going to be present because in something that's like 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, you're not going to see this tiny little thing. You're just going to see where it says nubs, right? So font size is going to need to be bigger. And you also want to pay attention to, can my audience see that? Is it something that I want my audience to really notice, or do I want it to stand out? But literally, you have made a pretty interesting thumbnail right then and there. All right. If I wanted to change that background, if I decided I hate that background, you can hit replace. And it's going to take you to images that you want to possibly replace it with. And you can search anything. You can type in horror. Let's say I wanted to make that into a scary themed. I can now pick from here. Maybe his Sunday vlog is now in a scary forest. So you have all those options right there. All right, we're not going to stop here though. We're going to come over and I want to add more to this, but the one thing that I hate about Canva, it doesn't allow for blending. It doesn't let you blend images in. And I hate that. That's what Canva, get with it. Okay, this is why I have to have PixArt. So I'm going to go ahead and save this image. It's going to tell me that it's preparing my design. And it is saving it to my phone. Save to my camera roll, right? I'm going to come out of this and I'm going to go over to PixArt. This is my second program that I would probably die without. And there it is. There's Nubs' Sunday vlog one right here, but it's in a scary forest. And me personally, I want to add some more scary shit to it. But I want to make this look cooler, so I can go to my effects. And in effects, if you have, once again, Matt has a question. Okay. This is where, questions kind of elude me because I'm not paying that much attention to my chat. Just type in thumbnail. It's called PixArt, but it's all one word. So put them in a blender and then you blend them. Yeah, I know, but yeah, in Canva, if you're doing it, I have an iPhone. It might be different on other things, but in Canva, if you want, and on mine, it has my situations pre-programmed. I click the plus button, and right there, I have YouTube thumbnail. But it says right here, you have the search option. You can literally click thumbnail and type thumbnail into that, and it's going to give you the things that it has pre-programmed. Okay. So I want to come over here and I want this to stand out even more. I might want to do a focal zoom, which gives it that zoomed in appearance. And it also gives me the ability to kind of direct the zoom if I want that to be just on nubs and have the rest of this kind of fade out. Hopefully you guys can see that occurring. Or I might want it to be on this and have everything else zoom out. Maybe I want it in between those. And that's kind of where I want it to be. And you can direct how much blur it has. You can direct how little blur it has. You can direct the size of it so it goes further out or more in. Darn it. Come back here. You can direct the size of it so it's further out from the image or going tighter in. You know, these look really cool on a lot of the horror, like a lot of the horror paranormal based ones. You can direct the hardness of it. Play around. That's how you learn shit, okay? I didn't learn it because I sat there and I was like on a lick and a prayer thinking I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know, I'm never going to learn this. I just played around with shit. I wasn't taught any of this. So I'm going to hit apply, all right? And that's going to lock in that feature that I just put in there, that zoom out effect. But a lot of you want to know, and I get asked this all the time, Jen, how do you make all that cool shit all the time? Go to stickers. And in stickers, this is my holy grail. In stickers, you will find all kinds of really cool shit. All right. So if right now it's Halloween, so it's putting up all these Halloween ones, but let's say I wanted to add this. Let's add Miss Scary Lady right here. And she's going to pop out and bam, she's right there. Now, if I want her to be that obvious in the image, which I might very well want that. I may want her to be that opaque in the image. Sorry, Fluff just walked into the office. So I was like, who the fuck's coming in here? I may want her to be that opaque because remember we were talking about the psychology of the thumbnails. Yeah, they actually do. They actually do. But if I want her to be that opaque, because remember the psychology of the thumbnails is, you know, you want people to see it, that might work for you. But if it doesn't, if you're like, I kind of don't want her to be that opaque, there is an opacity filter. I can make her look less opaque, which means she's a little bit more transparent. But maybe I don't want to quite do that. You come into your blend tool, and this is where things get fun. I can make her look like that by tapping multiply. I can burn her into the image. I can push the darkening filter or the darkening blend tool. And what'll happen is it'll pronounce all the dark components of that image. I can hit the light tool and it's going to pronounce all the lighter components of that tool. See, she looks a little bit more ghosty. The screen one makes her really transparent and cool looking. Overlay just puts her over whatever is the backgrounding image. Soft light takes and dims down all the bright highlights. Hard light just makes it opaque, like see-through, but makes it with a lot more dimension. And difference gives you that image of how do I describe difference? That's the one where it creates that, like, I always call it the rainbowing or oil slick effect, because it kind of translucinates all of the highlights and dark tones. So that one might work for you in the image that you choose. But let's say I want her to look more like this, where it looks like she's literally walking through the image. She's very transparent. And let's just say I want to play around with things a little bit more. I want to bring out some more tones. I would click highlight. Brightness can come out more. You can determine the levels of things that you want. You know, you can literally make her anything that you want her to be. You can change the hue, make her purple, pink, make her look a little bit more antique-ish. Maybe you want her to favor the blue or cool tones. It's really, you know, greens, whatever. It really depends on what you like. You can come down to the shadow component, and this is going to highlight the darker components of her. This is going to brighten her up with the highlighting tool. Temperature also changes things to a varying degree. So play with things. Slide it back and forth, back and forth. Get it to where you're like, I feel confident with this. All right, so I hit apply right there. So that's going to lock in all the changes I made to that image, and now I'm going to apply it to the thumbnail. But if I have a picture, I don't like anything I saw in the sticker area. I don't want any of that. You know, what if I want to add a photo? And let's say I want to add this ghost. Come on. Oh, wait, hold on. I forget that they changed things a little bit. I'm going to hit add. And I want to add this guy. He's not a sticker here, though. So I'm going to hit remove background on this program. Now, this program is a little more faultier than the other program, Canva. So sometimes it'll remove some of the background, but not all of it. But let's say I wanted to add Mr. Ghosty Ghost here because he's just funny. Just remove the background and boom, I've added him in. I can do the same thing and blend him through. You know, I can make her look like she's wearing a sheet. You know, that's just an example. But there's times where I get crafty creative with things. And let me find something that'll work. Okay, me as a clown. Get rid of that, apply that. This is actually me as a scare haunter at one point. And if I hit remove background, I'm probably not going to remove all of the background, and I'm going to have these weird edgings, right? And so, like I said, in the case where you have something that's cut off, you always want to maybe apply that to the siding of something, give it an edge to lie on, and then look, I still have this weird shit. How am I going to get rid of that? I can't just make him, he's never going to be big enough, right? By the way, this character's name is Heckle. That's why I refer to him as him. So what do I do with that? How do I make that look good? Click the image, click the eraser tool. And we're going to come down to this and we're going to drop the opacity. You see, that's the eraser. I'm going to drop the opacity. I'm going to drop the hardness. And I'm going to lightly shave this down. And guess what? I just blended that right on in there. So it doesn't have that hard line. I've tried drinking something through my phone before, but see how it no longer has that hard line, and I can put that to my image. And, you know, if we were trying to cover up nubs, but I can literally add that as my image and it no longer has that hard line. No, it no longer has it. And you can apply that to any, you know, any image you make, you know, or any other image that you want. If I want to layer a house in the background or anything like that, you know, I would be able to do that. So let's see here, add that. That was from when we did the Cosmopolitan. And watch, when I hit remove background on him, see, he has the shoulder issue. So no matter where I put him, he's going to have an off-put shoulder. And all I'm going to do is reduce that opacity, and I can shave him down. I can shave down his side to give him that ghost appearance. And there's times where you'll see me like, and it also has a back button in case you overdo something. Reduce your hardness even more. And I can literally make him as opaque in whatever areas that I want to make him opaque in. And I'm able to kind of place him anywhere now. See what I mean? It doesn't take much to create, to get creative and make strong images and make things that work for you. It really doesn't take much. It just takes literally somebody saying, hey, look what I did. You can do it too. All right. I was going to have it where I said, does anybody want a free thumbnail made? But I'd probably be here all night. So those are my simplest tools. Is there anything anybody wants to see? Is there a thumbnail that I've made or something that you're like, I want to learn how you did that part? This would be the best time to ask. Oh my God, I didn't know you could see my fat face reflection in my phone. Why didn't anybody tell me? Good Lord, you guys. You guys should have told me because I don't even have makeup on or nothing. Shit. But Nubs, I've made a good chunk of thumbnails for you. Is there something that I've done that you want to know how to do? This is the best time to ask how to do certain things. Okay, see me. All right, I'll give you that much. Oracles and Beyonce. How do I make fire look more realistic? Huh. Okay, so I would come back to Canva. I'm going to click YouTube thumbnail like I showed you all. And sometimes they have some fire backgrounds that you can use. Click photo. Try that again. So they have all their different fire components, right? Depending on what it is you're trying to create. Stretch that all out and get it to fit. So there's a thumbnail with some flames on it. And it's not going to quite do it for me. So I'm going to take my ass over to PixArt. Like a bonfire. Okay. Here, I'll show you some stuff and then you could probably play around with it further to get it to work for you. Trying to hide that. Try to send it to Charmaine. What the heck? Okay, so I'm gonna come over here, go back. It's gonna ask me if I want to save it as a draft. I'm not gonna save that, but I'll come over here and I'll pick this up. And I'm gonna type in second star. I do a lot of my font work here, so Survivor. I do a lot of my font work in here because to me it has better fonts. Sometimes I like the stuff from Canva, but not always. So I'm going to come over here and I don't want it to be white. The reason I like the font system here is because I can change my stroke. And it just gives me a lot more abilities with the fonts, so I suggest font work here versus Canva. You're a little bit limited on colors, but you can always self-generate a color over here. Alrighty. And then like you can have a drop shadow color. And see how that kind of pops out a little bit. So maybe I'll change that. There we go. Second star survivor. All right, we'll go with it. We'll roll with it a little bit here. Darn it. Okay, before anybody asks, like, Jen, what the heck's with the fucking sperm pictures? Okay, I was joking with the boys earlier, meaning PLE and Fluff, saying that they could make $1,500 a month, like, banking their sperm. So I made, like, a little picture of PLE sperms because I thought it was funny. So there you go. I know you've seen it. Everybody was chatting about it. It was the elephant in the room. I get it. Okay, now y'all know. All right, so, damn it. Apparently, Elvis's sperm wants to be shown. So I would come over here and I would type in fire. Or foray, because I can't spell sometimes. And I would click on an image of flames. And what this gives you is in the sense of sticker form. So it's all, it's all sticker formed. But let's say I just wanted to create something that was more visually appealing with this. I would come over to the blend tool. And I would start figuring out which one I want to use and which one might work. Do I want it to look like that where it's more realistic? Do I want it to have that differential where you can still see the survivor through it? Like, how do I want that to work? And to me, that bad boy looks pretty damn good and it stands out, but it's a little brighter than I want. So Maybe I want to turn it down. Maybe I want to change the temperature of it. Do I want it to have more of the yellows? You know, there we go. That's what I would have. And that's how I would create more. And I would basically layer everything. Like I would put that one on there. I would come back to my stickers. I'd grab it again. And that's how you're going to get more of your realistic fire, is just being able to layer it and create with it, because fire doesn't look the same all the time. You're going to want to change it up a little bit and create layers of it and stuff like that. You can also give it a drop shadow. You can also, remember, you can do effects with it. You can give it focal zoom right there on that, radical blur. You can do all kinds of stuff. Like, it really depends on what it is you're going for, because you're the creative outlet, you're the conduit for this, and you're the one that's going to determine like how much of something you want. You know, if there was a white background, this would totally be showing up really cool. But play around with it. Like, what does fire look like to you? And how do you want it to cascade on your image? And how do you want it to uphold that integrity that you're trying to create? Stuff like that. So, what's that?
It says a lot of thumbnails I see have a highlighter on the creator. Is there a reason for it?
It's just so it stands out. Just so it stands out.
Cassie says very nice of you to use this.
I'm one of those people that I can only keep something if I give it away. And so I kind of feel that this is me giving back to my community, teaching you guys my tricks of the trade. Like, it's really not that difficult. It just takes somebody showing you the no nonsense approach to it. Because even I would sit there and I'd look up tutorials and I'd be like, oh, fuck. You know, like how? And like you'd have to stop and rewind it. Things like that. Yeah, people usually do that highlight around the person or an image or things like that, you know, either a hard white border or, you know, a soft white border, kind of like this one, around the person. And that's just to make that pop out from a background. And I don't think I have an image of Matt on my phone. If I do, it's the one from Nubs' thumbnail where he's smoking. But I would put that, I could even put that on there. And yeah, if you click right there, it's going to show you the things that are additions to your thumbnail, like what you've added on. And let's see, survive. Not everything makes sense. Yeah, like the Survivor Series shit. I wonder if knife is an option. A salt with a deadly weapon. I don't think you guys can see it, but it's funny. A salt. Yeah, that's their second star survivor. Assault with a deadly weapon. Oh gosh, that's funny. Okay, stickers. But
he says, thanks, now I'm going to be up all night playing with myself and thumbnails, Jim. Matt said.
But you could do, like, you're going to be up playing with yourself? That's fun. I'm glad I inspired you that way. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of options. Play around with stuff, blend things, check things out. Like, your first 3, 4, 5 thumbnails are going to be like, what the was I thinking with that? But you know what? So were mine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so you see how that doesn't stand out very well? Add a shadow to it. Boom. It stands out. And then you can adjust it. You can make the opacity stronger. And so now, you know, it's a little bit. No, I want the knife bigger, dum-dum. Okay, there we go. And I know that knife's upside down, so don't come for me. But
people are saying that they want to learn how to make intros and outros.
Canva's a good place to make intros and outros when you're just learning. I will do another video for that because that one's a little bit longer. But yeah, you see how we've created flames, and I could even create flames coming off the blade if I wanted to. But I've created a thumbnail for him without much thought. I could add the title of what's going on. Let's just say he's doing bug out bag. Maybe he's talking about his bug out bag. And let's say I want to put a black stroke to that so it stands out more. But we've just created him a thumbnail for a series he might be doing on like bug out bags. And if you don't know what a bug out bag is, it's a pack that you have ready for basically emergency situations where you have to like leave everything behind and take your bag and go and try to survive as best you can with it. So if I wanted to do something like that, I would, if he was going to host a stream for something like that, there you go. And granted, I'm not being very specific here. There's another feature that I did want to show you guys that is really cool. I'm going to just apply that I use quite often. And it is the brush filter on this. You can tap in brushes. And with brushes, what it does is it creates a cascade of whatever it is you've selected. So if I was to select fire, it's going to give me some fire effects that I can use. I'm going to select that flame. I'm going to increase the size, and I'm going to, you see what it does? It kind of creates a stamp effect, a cascade of whatever it is you selected. And I use this sometimes for things like birds or bats or stars. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Yay. Because now he's surviving in the night sky, apparently. Which is kind of what he does.
Sid, thanks so much for this. I've just been stealing pictures off the
No,
internet.
it's so simple, you guys. Create your own shit, like create something that you can say, this is mine, and to hell with everybody else because I made it, And, you're going to always learn. You're going to find combinations of things that work really well for you. And this is a time for you to be like, have you ever explained to someone how you wanted something compositionally and they sort of got it, but you ended up sticking with it because you couldn't explain yourself any further? And this is a chance for you to create what's envisioned in your head. And if you can't fully create it, hey, reach out to me. We'll work together. I'll give you a hand on how to make it better or do it the way you envisioned it. But at least you have things placed where you want them. You have this sentiment of the idea coming into fruition. And I'd be more than happy to like walk you through any of the like smaller details or anything like that. I know sometimes it can be hard to get a hold of me though, but I'm a busy woman. And I used to make thumbnails like crazy for people. Like I'd spend time on my lunch break. I'd spend time before bed. I'd be up at 4 a.m. making thumbnails for people. And then I was like, you know what, guys? With all I've got going on with work and being a mom and things like that, I need to have a little bit more free time. So I always said, just go ahead and download these programs and we're going to build some thumbnails. So I used to host a class. It was like $5 to join the class. And I would show you guys, we would build a thumbnail. We'd pick a theme and then we would build a thumbnail off that theme for their independent channel. And I was just like, it got so exhausting having to collect payment and all that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this for free. I am just going to tell you guys like how I do it. We're going to build a couple thumbnails. I'm going to show you how it's done. And we're going to go from there. So yeah, that's how I make thumbnails, that's how I make things for people. It doesn't take me that long. And don't get upset if like your first one takes you like an hour, okay? It's fine. And my first ones took me an hour, okay? I couldn't decide what I wanted. I was like, oh my gosh, how do I layer this? Like, what do I do? Like, I get it. Like, it's gonna take you a hot minute, Oh, remember this one, Nubs? I made this one in PixArt. The chilling return to the 1 a.m. house.
I think you've done phenomenal since you started, even though the first one you're like, I don't like it.
And Fluff has like, oh my gosh, that was 48 weeks ago. That was a long time. But yeah, so That's me, by the way, in case y'all didn't know who the hell was talking to you. But yeah, that's how I make. Check out my phone.
That's it. All right, I'll be listening. I'm gonna go into Canva now and start learning.
All right, so go, my young grasshoppers, flee! Go into Canva and PixArt, rewatch this video, make some really cool shit, and post it to Twitter, post it on your YouTube channel. Let me know what you guys are up to, and I will come and tell you, like, if you have any questions, I'll come and help you out. It's literally, the creativity is limitless when I hand it to you. All right, so go out there and make some really cool shit. I know you can. I know anybody can. Trust me, if I can do it, y'all can do it. All right. And I'm not a graphic artist of any sort. I know some basic stuff. I'm really good at like photography editing. I was a photographer for a very long time. And good Lord, there's a cat outside getting his ass kicked, apparently. But I can do edits like that. So doing graphic art and stuff like that, I was like, oh my Lord, how do I do this? But I had to learn. So you guys go out and do it too. Have some fun. Make some, if you need it as a side hustle to make you a couple bucks, do it. It'll help you with graphic and creating merch that you can sell on Teespring or other merch sites. Go forward and enjoy yourself because your creativity is limitless. So I thank you all for being here, you guys. And show me what you guys can do. I want to see it. All right. Tag me on Twitter or anything else. I want to see what you guys come up with. All right. Love you all. Thanks for being here. Take care.